Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are. And we just pray that we are observing the SOPs and we're keeping our spirits of learning high. Let us not lose them. We need to remain focused. Your candidates, remember, you don't have any other senior 4 candidates apart from you people. Those who are still thinking that they're in senior 3, you better graduate yourself to senior 4 forcefully or unwillingly. The other visual of doing things is promoting you doing end of term exams. You're very lucky that you're not gone through the normal theory system of Kawazi. I don't know what we're going to replace Kawazi with in the future, but Kawazi still stands as the theory way of doing things. So you're going to be promoted based on the current prevailing situation in the country. So read your books. It's my message I have for you. Read your books non-stop. Read as if you have an exam tomorrow, right? Let's prepare. Those of you who are thinking of doing other things, wasting time, engaging in fun activities, that is absurd. Mm. So I encourage all of you, wherever you are, remain focused, prepare. You are growing, remember. And yes, we're not stopping the clock for the age. If you are 16, now you are 17. Eh? But age is just a number. Eh? But this learning is continuous. So let us remain focused. So without wasting so much time, I want us to remind ourselves of what we discussed. We looked at feathers from adaptations of birds to flight. We outlined the different adaptations. Please read the notes and master them. Give in your best as you read your notes. Look at the different feathers. Remember when I talked about the feathers, the different types of feathers in birds, I told you the practical parts, right, count so much when it comes to feathers. Yeah? The different types of feathers we mentioned, we shall redo them when it comes to the practical, the quill feather, covert feather, the down feather, the philophilums, right? The drawing of the feather, naming of the parts of the feather and the functions of the parts of the feather. Then comparing the quill feather, down feather. Take notes. Comes to the practical. Then the adaptations that I've mentioned. When it comes to adaptations, right? Adaptations of birds to flight. You know how to state an adaptation to the function. Adaptations to the function, right? What do we state in the adaptation? You state the characteristic feature first. For example, they have a streamlined body. I'm just giving an example. Streamlined body. That is a feature. Streamlined body. Continue. Relate the feature to the function. Streamlined body minimizes air resistance when in flight. Minimizes air resistance in air when in flight. When in flight. Minimizes air resistance when in flight. Right? Remind about you stating the feature and goes, the two go hand in hand. If you state the feature alone minus relating it to the function, then you don't qualify to get a mark. It's these two. This streamlined body is tied to minimizing air resistance. Minimizing. So to qualify to get a mark, we look at this related to that. Right? Not even half a mark, but just mere mentioning this alone that denies you even half a mark. So you have to tie the two. Streamline the body. How does it benefit the bird in flight? Minimizes air resistance. Full stop. So take note of those adaptations to flight in birds. So today, I want us to look at the different types of flight in birds. Types of flight in birds. The types of flight in birds. The types of flight in birds. So there are basically 3 types of flight in birds. 1, the flapping flight. So there are 3 types of flight in birds. The 3 are: 1, flapping flight. Number 2, you can talk of gliding or soaring flight. Gliding or soaring flight. Then the third one we can refer to it as sliding flight. Sliding flight. Those are the 3 major types of flight in birds. Flapping flight, as the name suggests, as the name reads, flapping. Flap involves, it is a very active mode of flight. So we begin with flapping flight. Flapping flight. What does flapping flight involve? I've said it is the most active type or mode of flight in birds. So you can call it active flight. I would beg that those of you have the notes you have may be adding in a few new things. So you take notes. So flapping flight, you can call it active flight. Why do we call it active flight? Because it involves complex movements of the wings. Complex movements of the wings. It involves complex movements of the wings. I wouldn't say complex means confusing or hard movements or difficult movements. Not difficult movements in any way, but detailed movements. It involves raising of the wing. The raising is not just mere raising, but there are changes within the wing. The wing has an attachment of its muscles. The wings have muscles, 2 types of muscles. The pectoral muscle, they are called pectoral muscles. And there are 2 major muscles there we are looking at. One is called pectoralis major muscle. Then the other one is called pectoralis minor. The pectoralis minor muscle. These 2 muscles, like we have been talking about how muscles bring about movement in different animals, organisms, they also work antagonistically. They bring about antagonistic movements. In other words, they bring about opposing movements. As one muscle is contracting, the other one is relaxing. So, flapping or active flight involves complex movements of the wings upwards and downwards against air. Complex movements of the wings upwards and downwards. Against air. Instead, you will take notes, you will be adding in what you feel necessary to add to the notes you have. I'm defining flapping flight or active flight as a type of flight that involves complex movements of the wings being raised upwards and lowered downwards against air. If it's against air, that is it's going to generate that mode of action of the wing. We define it as an aerofoil, right? So here the wing movement is aided by, in this type of flight, wing movement is aided by powerful pectoral muscles, powerful pectoralis muscles, powerful pectoralis muscles, powerful pectoralis muscles, which are attached to the keel-like extension. Attached to the keel-like extension. The keel-like extension. Keel-like extension. Keel-like extension. Keel-like extension. Or call it the breastbone. The breastbone. Remember, we talked about having a large bone, the sternum, with a long, deep keel. They provide, those are bones. They provide surface for attachment of the flight muscles. So those two muscles, they are attached onto the deep-like extension or the sternum or the breastbone. The pectoralis minor and the pectoralis major are examples of antagonistic muscles. So pectoralis major and pectoralis minor are examples. These are examples of antagonistic muscles. They are examples of antagonistic muscles. These are examples of antagonistic muscles. We said antagonistic muscles are those that work in pairs but opposing the activity or the movement of the other. So antagonistic muscles occur in pairs which contract, producing opposite effects to each other, right? So these muscles are in pairs, where contraction of one brings about an opposing effect or an opposite effect on the other muscle, right? So you take notes. So pectoralis minor and pectoralis major work antagonistically. As one contracts, the other one relaxes, leading to raising of the wing, right? So as the pectoralis minor contracts, as the pectoralis minor contracts, the pectoralis major contracts. As the pectoralis minor contracts, this one relaxes. The pectoralis major relaxes. So the effect is the wing is raised. The wing is raised. The wing is raised. The wing is raised. This causes the wing to be raised, the wing is raised. And when the pectoralis major contracts, 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 the pectoralis minor relaxes. The pectoralis minor relaxes. It relaxes, causing the wing to be lowered. 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 Right? Causing the wing to be lowered. Full stop. Therefore, flapping involves two strokes. Flapping flight or active flight involves two strokes. Flapping involves two strokes, two movements. So flapping involves two strokes. Flapping involves two strokes. Flapping involves two strokes. It involves two strokes, i.e. downstroke, the downstroke, downstroke, and upstroke, upstroke, downstroke and upstroke, downstroke and upstroke. So downstroke we can say is the lowering of the wing. This one is lowering of the wing, lowering the wing. Upstroke is the raising of the wing, raising of the wing, raising of the wing, raising of the wing. So you have to describe the two strokes separately, the changes that occur when the wing is being lowered and when the wing is being raised. What's the effect of lowering the wing? What's the effect of raising the wing? The effect on the two muscles, the pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor. Before we look at the two strokes, it's very important to take note of the structure and appearance of the attachment of the two muscles onto the skeleton, more so the breastbone or the keel. So let us take note, draw the attachments of the flight muscles to the skeleton. Flighty muscles to the skeleton. To the skeleton. Attachment of the flight muscles to the skeleton. So the skeleton showing the attachment of the skeletal muscles to the different parts of the skeleton. So we have said there are two muscles. The first one called the pectoralis minor can also be called elevator muscle. The second one is the pectoralis major, can also be called the depressor muscle. So all the muscles are attached onto the breastbone or the sternum and onto the deep keel. Deep keel. Deep keel, you can call it an extension of the sternum. Extension of the sternum or the breastbone. So for the wing to be raised and lowered, the effect is on these two muscles. As one contracts, the other one is relaxing. What happens to the attachment of these muscles? Because they are at a point where they are attached to the bone, it is like a pivot or a lever. The effect will be felt to the wing. So during downstroke, let us look at the two strokes, the downstroke and the upstroke. So during the downstroke, what happens during downstroke? Say during downstroke, the wing is lowered. But now we need to know the details on those two muscles. So during the downstroke, you can outline these important changes for simplicity of our revision and reading of the notes. So during downstroke, the pectoralis major contracts. Bullet 1, the pectoralis major contracts. It contracts. So as it contracts, pectoralis minor relaxes. Bullet 2, pectoralis minor relaxes. Please, you take note of those changes. They are very important, worth mentioning when you are describing active flight or flapping flight. So contraction of the pectoralis major pulls the humerus. Contraction of pectoralis major pulls the humerus. It pulls the humerus. Contraction of the pectoralis major pulls the humerus. Humerus bone downwards and backwards. Humerus bone downwards and backwards. Downwards and backwards. Downwards and backwards. Downwards and backwards. As a result, the resistance of air to the wing. As a result, the resistance of air to the wing, causes an upthrust. It causes an upthrust or uplift force, upthrust or upward reaction on the wing, upward reaction on the wing. So during this stroke, the leading edge of the wing, during this stroke, the leading edge of the wing The leading edge of the wing. The leading edge of the wing is moved higher than the trailing edge. Is moved higher. Is moved higher than the trailing edge. Higher than the trailing edge. Is moved higher than the trailing edge of the wing. Trailing edge of the wing. Trailing edge of the wing. To enable airflow faster. To enable airflow faster. To enable airflow faster. To enable air flow faster. Enable airflow faster. At decreased pressure above the wing. At decreased pressure. Decreased pressure above the wing. Remember, we talked about aerofoil. You can look at this. All this mechanism of downstroke is achieved due to the changes on the wing and the effect of the wing and the air changes, air pressure changes on the wing, on top of the wing and down the wing. So, top of the wing, there is reduced pressure. Down the wing, there is increased pressure. So, decreased pressure above the wing and also air to flow slowly. And also air to flow slowly. Air to flow slowly. Air to flow slowly at increased pressure below the wing. At increased pressure below the wing. Increased pressure below the wing. Increased pressure below the wing. Remember, on top of the wing, there is reduced pressure but increased speed of air above the wing, but decreased speed, right? Below the wing, but increased pressure below the wing, causing an upthrust or an upward force, upward effect below the wing. So this provides lift to the birds. This provides a lift force to the wing. It causes or provides a lift force to the wing. It causes a lift force to the wing to attain height. To attain height. When you rub off the drawing was basically to show the attachment position of the two muscles, pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor. You can call them elevator muscles or the depressor muscles. They are attached onto the sternum, the large part of the breastbone, right? Breastbone, and the thinning or narrowing parts of the breastbone called the deep keel. So the breastbone and the attachment of the two muscles. Please you take notes. Right? Take note of the drawing. So as we continue with this stroke, the down stroke. So the activity here, what we are discussing at this moment during down stroke, reminds us about what an aerofoil or aerofoil movement is achieved during flight in birds. We talked of aerofoil last week and we illustrated the shape of the wing. It has a leading end and a trailing end. The leading end, we say it is more broader. The trailing edge is narrower, right? The leading edge is that here. So as the air passes past or over the body, so this is leading edge, the leading edge, then the trailing edge, the trailing edge of the wing. We said below the wing there is reduced speed. There is reduced speed of air, but increased pressure, causing an upthrust, raising the wing, right? Then above the wing there is increased speed of air, but reduced pressure, right? Reduced pressure. So you take note of those two major changes. So we have said to cause the wing or air also to flow slowly at increased pressure below the wing. This provides a lift force to the wing. This was just a reminder, right? A reminder of those changes. For those of you who are not very attentive and conversant with what an aerofoil movement is, then a continuation of downstroke. Before the wing top reaches lower point, before the wing top reaches lower point of downstroke, lower point of downstroke, the forearm begins to raise. The forearm begins to raise. So that the wing bends. So that the wing bends. At its elbow, the wing bends at its elbow and begin the upstroke. So please take note of the major changes during downstroke. We have said during downstroke, points to note and carefully note: pectoralis major muscles contract. That is a very important point to take note of. The other muscle called the pectoralis minor muscle relaxes. It was mentioning when you're describing the active flight. So contraction of the pectoralis major pulls the humerus bone downwards and backwards. Those are important points to take note of. As a result, resistance of air to wing causes upthrust on the wing. That is another point. So during this stroke, the leading edge of the wing is moved higher than the trailing edge of the wing. That's another point you have to take note of. To enable air flow faster at decreased pressure above the wing. Another important point. And also air to flow slowly at increased pressure below the wing. That is the effect of aerofoil. 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 So this provides a lift force to the wing. A lift force to the wing. So before the wing top reaches the lower point of downstroke, the forearm begins to raise, so that the wing bends at its elbow and begin the upstroke. What I've noted there are important points you have to give attention, or you have not to miss in your description during downstroke. So let us move to the other one, the upstroke. During upstroke. During upstroke. So during upstroke, the raising of the wing. So the opposite or the reverse of downstroke is true for upstroke. So these movements of muscles, they are very easy to master, very easy to remember, right? You just change. The opposite of one is true for the other. Is true for the other. So upstroke, during upstroke. During upstroke. During upstroke. Remember, as I said, you have notes with you, but there are certain things I'll be adding in, chipping in, that we may feel necessary to enrich our notes. So during upstroke, this is the phase when the wing quickly moves upwards. It's the phase during which the wing is quickly moved upwards. Is quickly moved upwards. So during upstroke, you can call it, this is the recovery stroke as well. Recovery stroke, right? i.e. the recovery stroke. Recovery stroke. The recovery stroke is brought about by contraction of the pectoralis minor and relaxation of the pectoralis major muscles. So without wasting so much time on that, let us look at those effects of the two muscles during upstroke. So during upstroke, the pectoralis minor contracts. So bullet 1, pectoralis minor muscle contracts. Like I said earlier, the opposite of this stroke is true for the other. So pectoralis minor, during downstroke, we are relaxing. Now they are contracting. Then on the other hand, the pectoralis major muscles, pectoralis major muscles relax. They relax. Pectoralis major muscles relax. Contraction of the pectoralis minor pulls up. Pectoralis, and say contraction of pectoralis minor muscles, contraction of the pectoralis minor muscles, pull up or raises the humerus bone. Pull up or raises the humerus bone. It raises the humerus bone. Raises the humerus bone, or in brackets wing, making it ready to begin another cycle. Raises the humerus bone, in brackets wing, making it start another cycle. Making it start or begin another cycle. Making it begin or start another cycle. So, relaxation of the pectoralis major enables the wing to twist. Relaxation of the pectoralis major muscles causes the wing to twist. Relaxation of pectoralis major muscle causes the wing to twist. Causes the wing to twist. Causes the wing to twist. Causes the wing to twist so that its trailing edge, so that its trailing edge, so that its trailing edge, so that its trailing edge is now higher than the leading edge, 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 now higher than the leading edge. This lowers air resistance. This lowers air resistance. It lowers air resistance, and the wing is raised. 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 So before the wing reaches maximum point, before the wing reaches maximum point, it reaches maximum point, before it reaches maximum point, the pectoralis major resumes to contract. The pectoralis major muscles resume to contract. Resume to contract. Resume to contract. Resume to contract in order to start downstroke again. In order to start downstroke again. To start downstroke again. In order to start downstroke again. In order to start downstroke again. So the two strokes are made continuously. The two strokes are made continuously. They are made continuously. The two strokes are made continuously during this process of flapping. During the process of flapping. During the process of flapping. Process of flapping. The up and down movement of the wing is continuous. Always make those movements continuously when in flight, right? It's so much common and an active movement of the wing, especially in small birds like the weaver birds and the ladybirds. They never stop wing movement or wing beating, the up and stroke movement. With the large birds, they normally don't make those movements and may stop beating the wing and soar, or they let their wings relax a bit without movement. They only do that movement when they lose height or depth when in air. So those are changes during upstroke. So a point to note in upstroke, we have said during upstroke, the wing is quickly moved upwards. Or we have called it a recovery stroke. Recovery stroke. Please take note of that. Recovery stroke. The changes on the muscles, we have said pectoralis minor muscle contracts. That's a mark point. On the other hand, the pectoralis major muscle relax. Another important point, contraction of the pectoralis minor muscle pulls or raises the humerus bone. It pulls or raises the humerus bone or the wing, making it to start another cycle. So relaxation of the pectoralis major muscle causes the wing to twist. So that its trailing edge is now higher than the leading edge. Please you take note. So this lowers air resistance and the wing is raised. Lowers air resistance, a point, then the wing is raised. So before the wing reaches maximum point, the pectoralis major muscles resume to contract in order to start downstroke again. That's another important point. So the two strokes, as we have said, they are made continuously during the process of flapping. So that is how flapping flights is achieved. There are two major strokes involved, the downstroke and the upstroke. The attachment of the flight muscles onto the skeleton. The two muscles are pectoralis minor and the pectoralis major attached to the sternum and the deep keel. So you have two drawings in your notes showing the changes. Downstroke, the position of the wing, the position of the wing when raised. Those ones you have in the drawing. My drawing was just to show attachment of the two muscles onto the skeleton, the humerus bone and the sternum bone or the breast bone. Then the coracoid bones, humerus bone, coracoid bones, and the sternum bone. Okay. So we can move on. Put aside locomotion in birds. So we are now left with locomotion in fish. Those aquatic organisms will be represented by fish, since it's the most familiar organism that we know. We studied fish in senior 1 under class species. Class species, it's a vertebrate. It moves in water, never moves on land, never moves in air. However, we have those other aquatic organisms that are good at diving. We have diving mammals like the whales, but our interest will go to fish, and we shall look at majorly the tilapia or those large-sized fish that live in water like the Nile perch. So locomotion in fish. I want us to pay attention to locomotion in fish. Locomotion in fish. Locomotion in fish. Locomotion in fish. So the fish lives
and moves through water by swimming. So fish lives and moves through water, by swimming. It lives and moves through water by swimming. Doesn't walk, doesn't fly. I don't know whether we have heard of any flying fish, but we know swimming fish. So it's very important also to take note of the adaptations of the fish to movement in water. What is so special? How are they able to move comfortably in water? Okay. So locomotion in fish, we shall pay attention to their special adaptations the fish have when they are moving in water. So locomotion in fish, we outline the adaptations. Adaptations of fish to movement in water. Adaptations of fish to movement in water. Adaptations of fish to movement in water. What do they have on their bodies that make them swim comfortably in water? One, they have large eyes, large protruding eyes, large bulging or protruding eyes. The eyes, they are large, they are bulging on top, and you can say those are laterally positioned on the head. They are on top of the head and on the sides. Can see widely within water. So the eyes give the fish ability to see within water. So enables the fish to have a wide range of vision. Enable the fish to have a wide range of vision. Wide range of vision when in water. To dodge obstacles. Avoid colliding with obstacles, hard rocks, solid particles, some aquatic plants in water. They can easily see. They don't make accidents when they are swimming in water because they have eyes to see. Even avoid escape predators when they are in locomotion. Another adaptation, the body is streamlined. The body of the fish is streamlined. The body is streamlined. To minimize drag or water resistance. Minimize drag or water resistance. Minimize drag or water resistance. To minimize drag or water resistance during swimming. The body is covered with overlapping scales. The body of fish is covered with overlapping scales. The body is covered with overlapping scales, or you can say backward pointing scales. The body is covered with overlapping overlapping scales, overlapping scales, overlapping scales, or backward pointing scales, backward pointing scales, backward pointing scales. The advantage of the arrangement of the scales on the body of fish is important in minimizing resistance during movement or swimming. To minimize drag or water resistance. In other words, water passes past the scales without any friction or resistance against water. Water just slides past the scales, overlapping scales, backward pointing scales, to minimize drag. Or resistance against water. To minimize drag or resistance against water. The scales are covered with a slimy substance. The scales are covered by a slimy substance. Mucus-like, can call it mucus substance. If you have touched fish fresh from water, it can easily slide. It is so slippery, right? So slippery, it can slide. The covering of the scales, it has a mucus covering. The advantage of having the mucus covering is to reduce or minimize drag. To minimize drag during swimming. Water can easily slide over the surface, the body surface, because of that mucus lining on the scale. Minimize drag during swimming. Another adaptation, the skeleton is covered by powerful block muscles. Skeleton is covered by powerful block muscles. These block muscles in fish are known as myotomes. Powerful block muscles called myotomes. The skeleton of the fish is covered by powerful skeletal muscles known as myotomes, and they occur on either side of the body of fish. They are present on either side of the body of fish, right? They have one general name, myotomes, or you can call them block muscles. They occur, their arrangement, they're in blocks, so the name block muscles, which are arranged in pairs. And work antagonistically. They work antagonistically. Now the word antagonistic action is familiar and very conversant with the meaning of antagonistic. Work antagonistically to produce side-to-side movements of the body. To produce side-to-side movement of the body, side-to-side movements of the body. Side-to-side movement of the body. The body of the fish, I beg your pardon, bony fish have a swim bladder. They have a swim bladder. Another adaptation, they have a swim bladder. or an air bladder. They have a swim bladder or an air bladder. Please, you take note of the adaptations. Fish have a swim bladder. They have a swim bladder or an air bladder. Swim bladder or air bladder. Looks like a balloon inside the body. You just imagine the body of fish having a sac-like structure. Those of you have been very careful, especially it is common with the large fish like the Nile perch in Puta. Well grown in Puta or Nile perch, they have that air bladder. It's called a swim bladder or an air bladder. So it's like a balloon having a balloon inside the body. So that air bladder or swim bladder, the air bladder or swim bladder is used to control buoyancy. Used to control buoyancy. Is used to control buoyancy. It is used to control buoyancy. Take note of the spelling of buoyancy. Used to control buoyancy. You may underline or take note of that word buoyancy. What is the meaning of buoyancy? Control buoyancy in water, right? Control buoyancy in water. I can say buoyancy is the ability to maintain height or depth when in water. That ability to maintain depth in water. The fish never swim at the bottom of the water, but they normally swim at a certain height or at a certain depth in water. They are never on top or the surface of water, but they are deep covered by water to a certain depth in water, but they are never swimming or moving at the bottom or the floor of water. Okay, so they have an air bladder or swim bladder which is used to control buoyancy in water by adjusting the volume of gases. By adjusting the volume of gases. Volume of gases. By adjusting the volume of gases. Adjusting the volume of gases that diffuse into it. Volume of gases that diffuse into it. That diffuse into it. That diffuse into it from the blood. From the blood. From the blood. That diffuse into it from the blood. That diffuse into it from the blood. Okay. So that is about the swim bladder or the air bladder. Then the other adaptation, you take notes, they have fins. They have fins. They have fins. The fish have well-developed fins on the body, which propel for propulsion and stability. Right? Fins for propelling and stabilizing the body when in water. For propelling, stabilizing the body when in water. For stabilizing, propelling the body when in water. Then they have well-developed mechanisms of sensations. Have well-developed mechanisms. They have well-developed mechanisms of sensations. Sensations provided by the lateral line. Provided by the lateral line. So if you look at the body of fish, these parts are familiar. You have learned about fish over the years. Primary, you did fish. Secondary, senior one. When you are studying classification of living things, you did fish. You have the drawing of the structure of the fish. You can label some of the parts of the body of the fish, especially the external parts. So if you look at the body of the fish, there is that sensitive parts, lining, lateral line. It is basically for detecting vibrations in water. Very sensitive, right? It's a very sensitive part of the body of fish, right? So it's very important in maintaining stability and for sensation. So they have well-developed mechanisms of sensations provided by the lateral line. Sensations of vibrations. Yeah? So the lateral line is able to sense or detect vibrations in water. Vibrations in water. Vibrations in water. It's not just by design. It is not a designing on the body of fish, but it's a very important feature on the body of fish. Very, very important for detecting those instabilities in water. Then the other one, we can say, they have numerous gills, right? They have numerous gills. These gills are important indirectly, but very useful in locomotion as well. Those gills, otherwise, if they are not well developed, because the demand for oxygen supply to the active blocker muscles known as myotomes is very high. So the myotomes demand and need supply of oxygen as well as rapid removal of the accumulating carbon dioxide in the muscles. So you can also add this one, have well developed gills, right? Someone may wonder, why are we talking about gills yet we are talking about locomotion? I'm saying we have to consider all those body parts, body organs that play a role in locomotion or in ensuring success in locomotion. So the gills are used for quick obtaining of oxygen. Used in obtaining oxygen. Used in obtaining oxygen. Well-developed gills for obtaining oxygen. Used in respiration. Oxygen for respiration. Oxygen for respiration to produce energy. Oxygen for respiration to produce energy. 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 Then they have a flexible skeleton. They have a flexible skeleton. Have a flexible skeleton. Flexible skeleton. Endoskeleton. Endoskeleton. Made up of vertebrae. Made up of vertebrae. Made up of vertebrae. For quick and swift. For quick and swift movements. Quick and swift movements in water. You have seen the bends and turns. It twists and turns, twists and turns so fast. Those are rapid movements, quick and swift movements. So to achieve that, it's because of the flexibility of the skeleton. The skeleton is that so swift and so flexible. Can easily bend, straighten the body, move faster in water, escape predators, and so on. Then they have a silvery appearance on the ventral side. They have a silvery appearance. Have a silvery appearance. Silvery appearance on the ventral sides. On the ventral sides. They have a silvery appearance on the ventral side. If I say ventral, ventral means under, below, right? Below. Silvery appearance on the ventral side to enable them camouflage and escape predators during locomotion. To enable them camouflage. Enable them camouflage and dodge predators. Dodge predators. Dodge predators during swimming. During swimming. The ventral side has a lighter appearance, a lighter coloration. That lighter appearance or coloration matches that of the water. So when the fish is in water and is a predator below the body of the fish, it cannot distinguish the covering of the body of the fish and that of water. So in that way, movement is uninterrupted by threats of what? Predators. Okay. Those are some of the important adaptations of fish movement in water. So we have a drawing of the body structure of the fish. I will not waste too much time on that. Our next target is action of muscles in swimming. Action of muscles or the role of muscles in locomotion in fish. We have talked of two muscles, the myotome muscles or the blocker muscles that lie side by side. They lie on either side of the body of the fish. So the myotome muscles, action or the role of the myotomes. The role of the myotomes. Role, stroke, action of myotomes. Myotomes. Or the blocker muscles. Blocker muscles in fish. In fish during swimming. During swimming. So the attachments, we may begin with a simple drawing. This one is about action or attachments of myotomes. Attachments of myotomes on the body of fish. On the body of fish. On the body of fish. So you can have this drawing as an addition. If it's missing in your notes, add it there. It's a good illustration of how the myotomes appear like the body of fish, the attachments. Okay, that is drawing illustrates or to show attachment of the two muscles we are talking about as block muscles. They occur on either sides. Just one general name. Myotomes may be on the left, myotomes on the right. They are attached onto the vertebrae or the skeleton, right? And the joints between the skeleton, the bones, the vertebrae bones are flexible to allow that easy movement from side to side. So the role and action of the myotomes or the block muscles in fish during locomotion. So we can stay or look at the two changes about the two myotomes. So the whole vertebral column or the spinal part of the fish is flexible. Take note of that. The whole vertebral column of fish is flexible. The whole vertebrae column of fish is flexible. That flexibility is very important. So we have some more time back. We are finishing up. Roughly 8 minutes to go. Let us look at that one, action and the role. So the whole vertebral column of fish is flexible. Vertebral column, the vertebral column of fish is flexible. It is flexible. That flexibility is very important. It's flexible. It has well-developed and powerful block muscles. Has well-developed and the powerful block muscles, and the powerful block muscles, called myotomes. Block muscles called myotomes. Block muscles called myotomes, arranged in pairs. Arranged in pairs. Arranged in pairs. The myotomes are arranged in pairs. Arranged in pairs downwards on either side of the body of fish. Downwards on either side of the body of fish. Downwards on either side of the body of fish. Downwards on either side of the body of fish. The action of myotomes is antagonistic. Action of myotomes is antagonistic. Action of myotomes is antagonistic. It is antagonistic. Action of myotomes is antagonistic. It is antagonistic and contract in a series. And contract in a series. They contract in a series. They contract in a series from head down to the tail. From the head down to the tail. From the head down to the tail. Down to the tail. They contract in series from the head to the tail. Alternately. They alternate. Alternately. They contract in series from the head to the tail. Alternately. So this causes a wave-like movement. This causes a wave-like movement. It causes a wave-like movement. It causes a wave-like movement. This causes a wave-like movement to pass down the body. To pass down the body. Pass down the body. To pass down the body. Causes a wave-like motion or movement to pass down the body. As a result, the caudal fin or the tail fin. As a result, the caudal fin or tail fin, the tail fin. As a result, the caudal fin or tail fin, the tail fin sets up pressure on the water. Sets up pressure. It sets up pressure on the water. It sets up pressure on the water. It sets up pressure on the water. On that side, and it pushes the water backwards. On that side, and pushes the water backwards. And pushes the water backwards. And pushes the water backwards. Pushes the water backwards. Pushes the water backwards. Pushes the water backwards. Full stop. So in reaction, the water sets up a forward force. In reaction, the water sets up a forward movement, or it sets up a forward force, or a thrust, a forward thrust on the tail, which pushes the fish forwards, pushes the fish forwards. It pushes the fish forwards. So it is these side-to-side movements of the tail. It is this side-to-side movement of the tail. It is this side-to-side movement of the tail that causes the propelling of the fish forwards, that produce the propulsive force. Produce the propulsive force to drive the fish rapidly forward in water. To drive the fish rapidly forward in water. So that is how action of the myotomes, or the muscles of the vertebrae, bring about movement in water. So because of time, I would beg that we stop here for today. As far as locomotion in water and movement of the body of fish in water is concerned, we have moved at least halfway or three-quarter way. What we are left with is the role of the fins in locomotion, what the fins mean to the body of the fish. We have the paired fins and the unpaired fins. The dorsal fin is unpaired, or the tail fin is also unpaired. But they are very important fins as far as locomotion and stability of fish in water is concerned. So next time we meet, inshallah, we shall look at the role of the fins and the instabilities, the uncomfortable movements the fish encounter when they are in water. Otherwise, I wish you the best of today, and I encourage you to keep reading and try out as many questions you come across in locomotion as much as possible, because locomotion, we are ending it with the fish. We have covered locomotion for quite some time, and today it's coming to an end. Or next time we meet, we shall be finishing up the remaining small bits of